It is Melanie back from Melanie Loves Death Metal with another heavy metallurgy review. I am going to be reviewing two albums today that are coming out Friday, February 17th. And what I'm talking about are the new Ulthar albums, Helionomicon and Anthronomicon. Yes, that is right. Two brand new Ulthar albums out on 20 bucks spin. I am super excited to talk about this. Now, if you're not familiar with the band Ulthar, they have two other full-length releases that are also out on 20 bucks spin. Cosmovore, which was out in 2018, and then Providence, which came out in 2020. Two excellent albums. I highly suggest you check them out. This is now their third and fourth full-length to be released, and I am really excited to talk about this. Just to be honest with everybody, this is one of my most anticipated releases to come out this year. As soon as it was announced and as soon as I found out it was two different albums, I was like, my head exploded. So, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are very much a blackened death metal style band. They have two vocalists, as I just mentioned, Steve and Shelby, who bounce back the high, shrill, shrieking black metal vocals, as well as the lower style guttural death metal growls. It's a very technical style of a blackened death metal band. And when I say technical, I mean there's definitely the noodling, there's definitely that technical composition in the songwriting, but I wouldn't say it's like so much noodle shred in the stereotypical old school death metal, technical death metal vibe. They do it really well. They mix it really well with their composition, and I think it makes them unique in their own style. They definitely took a step away from that old school death metal revival that everybody's doing, and they have their own unique sound, which is something that I've just really loved with their last albums. So, what am I talking about today? Well, let's get started with the first one, Anthronomicon. So this is the one that I'm going to start out first. This is more of the traditional full-length album. It's 8 tracks, clocks in around 40 minutes long. And yeah, as you can see by the artwork from Ian Miller, it is very Lovecraftian for sure. You definitely see the space themes if you want to get really close, and these images are all over the internet too. But yeah, Anthronomicon is exactly that. It is more in line with the past Ulthar albums that have come out in the past. It starts aggressive right away with the title track, Cephalophore, I think is how you pronounce that name. And it continues that aggression throughout the whole entire album. Like I said, it's 8 tracks, so it's more of the traditional style of a full-length album. You'll understand what I mean when we get to the second part of this review. There's no bloat or unnecessary ambience that you might expect in like a space type of themed album. It's got punchy production. It's assaulting and chaotic with technical riffs throughout the whole entire record. The one thing about this that I want to mention is that there is really no slowdown. There is no transitional track where it's just ambience for like 4 minutes. There's no transitional track where it might just be like an acoustic set or anything like that. There are small, little, tiny ambient transitions of just cosmic sweetness. That's what I like to call it. They add these cosmic ambience, little transitions here and there, especially on the very end of the record, that just really hit the sweet spot for me. For me personally, ambient music is a very hit or miss thing. If they add too much into it of a record, it bothers me. They do not do this on Anthronomicon whatsoever. It's got those chaotic, harsh, high, shrill black metal shrieks, like I said, and also the lower style death metal growls. They balance out really well on this album. There isn't one that proceeds more than the other. At times, they go back and forth very well. There's layering that does really well. It's just a very well put together and written album in regards to production and all of the stuff that you're hearing on this album. Like I said, it's got that technical flair, really aggressive vocal styles, really aggressive noodling of the guitars. It's got definitely that avant-garde feel that you might expect from a Lovecraft type of album, themed album. But I think that they do a really, really good job of altering those vocal styles and layering that into these songs. This is a cosmic terror album. And what I mean by that is it's very cosmic themed, obviously, and it is terrifying while you're listening to it. That is the sense that you get the whole time that you're hearing it. For me, it's a journey I feel like Ulthar has put us on. It makes me feel like I'm about to watch an alien style horror movie that's based out in outer space, and you've gotten trapped on their spaceship and you're running through the spaceship and trying to get free. Like, that is essentially what Anthronomicon makes me feel like while I'm listening to it. And I just absolutely love it. I've listened to this several times, and I really didn't know what to expect from this. When a band says they're releasing 2 albums on the same day, you almost think, okay, this is going to be a big mountain that they're climbing. They're going to come out and do some crazy stuff here, and they've gone prog. And that is not what Ulthar has done with this album. This album, like I said, is relentless throughout the whole entire time you're listening to it. But I will say the last 2 tracks of this album, what were they called again? Some weird names, of course. They are awesome. Larynx Plateau is what the number 7 track, and then Cultus Quadrivium. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the easy tracks. Are 2 of my favorite songs on this album. I think the album ends perfectly in a sense of you wanting more, which is what they did really well with this, considering they released a sister album. Oops, sorry about that, Mike. For that. So yes, like I said, this left me wanting more. I wanted to continue the journey. I wanted to feel how it was going to end. And it ends with that little cosmic ambience that I think that they've done really, really well. This is a really great album. My only complaint about it is that it is exhausting. Like I said, there's not much of a slowdown time. There's not much time for you to really think about what you're listening to. It is auditory terror on your ears the whole time. But I want to call out that it is not auditory terror in the vein of Imperial Triumphant or Portal. I think Ulthar does it in a way that is a little bit more tolerable, in my opinion, to where I'll be able to listen to this on a regular basis. It is chaotic in all of its glory. It's aggressive and it's heavy, and they've done it really, really well. But like I said, my only complaint is that it's exhausting when you're done. But don't worry, because that exhaustion continues on. It's a Helionomicon. The sibling album, whatever you want to call it. The second album that is also coming out on the same day. So now you might be thinking, okay, they're releasing 2 albums here. This is probably going to be a slow burn, a slow build up, a proggier style album. And you're probably thinking, why would somebody think that? Well, it's 2 tracks, 40 minutes long. Immediately when you see something like that, you assume that those tracks are going to be a little bit more in the prog style vein, the doom style, where there's slow build up and epic peaks and valleys, and that they've done something that's super far off the grid of what they've released previously. That is not what Ulthar has done with this record. Like I said, this is very much a continuation of the story of Anthronomicon into Helionomicon. It starts aggressive right away. And those 20-minute tracks fly by because of how fast and how aggressive and just terrifying this sound is. It's not an uphill mountain for them. They did release a longer track on Cosmovore. It clocked in around 13 minutes. So they're familiar with making a little bit longer music. Their composition on this is incredible. Like I said, there's that layering of the just terrifying noodles of the guitars, the high shrill shrieks, the death metal growls, and then every once in a while, in the middle of a song, it's very, very brief, there's that space ambience of where you feel like you're being eaten by an alien. That is essentially the sense that I've gotten from this record. But this is very much not a prog metal album. Like I said, there's no slow burn on it. There's no build up or peaks and valleys. It is pure aggression the whole entire time. It keeps you engaged from the moment you start playing the album. And then it goes into the second track, which is ironically titled Anthronomicon. So the first track is Helionomicon, and the second track is Anthronomicon. And again, that same exact continuation there of just unhinged auditory terror in the most organized composition possible. That is the best way I can describe it. They do it really well. It's not hard to digest by any means. Like I said, it's not in that avant-garde vein of Imperial Triumphant or Portal Chaos. It's very much structured chaos, is what I like to say. And it's very, very well written music that has kept me engaged. It's noodly, as what I like to say. It's unhinged. It's terrifying, and just holy hell, this is straight up cosmic terror death metal in the best way possible. These two albums have left me speechless at times. There have been times where I've stopped listening to Helionomicon after I've just did the whole entire 80-minute journey, and I've sat down and thought to myself, wow, these guys really, really exceeded my expectations with this. They've exceeded my expectations from Providence, which I thought was an incredible album. I absolutely loved that album when it came out in 2020. And they really have moved into a very sophisticated style of writing music, and it makes me really excited with what they've done here. I'm excited for the future of what this band holds. I'm excited to see what they do next. If they continue to release 2 albums a year, I would be happy about that. However, don't go crazy because people might get tired of that. So my overall thoughts on this are, this is probably going to be one of my absolute favorite albums to come out this year. 2 albums, I should say. Some people might ask me, do I prefer one over the other? Because a lot of people assume that when there are 2 albums being released at the same time, you tend to gravitate towards one and ignore the other. That is absolutely not the case in this regard. I did, when I first started listening to it, prefer the Helionomicon album, but as I started listening to it more and more, Anthronomicon grew on me every single time I listened to it, and now I find myself wanting to listen to them directly back to back. It is something that I've been putting on and just doing as a whole entire journey. Now, can you listen to them independently? Absolutely. You absolutely can, and I think they did a really, really good job of that. They didn't blend it so much that you have to listen to them back to back. You can easily buy Helionomicon or Anthronomicon on their own and enjoy it for what it is, and then pick up the next one later. And then if you decide to listen to them together and create it as a journey like I have, you can easily do that too. To me, that is phenomenal. A band being able to do that, to be able to release 2 albums and have them be separate yet the same. Great stuff. So, my overall thoughts, I think it's an amazing, amazing concept that they've done. I really am just pumped. The artwork is incredible. There's a lot of detail to it. If you happen to check it out online, definitely, scroll in and see just a lot of the detail that they've added into this. You do get, if you do order the vinyl, you do get the full artwork there, which is nice. It's a nice touch. And like I said, the only complaints that I really have about this album is that it's exhausting, and you do tend to maybe need just a tiny bit of a break because of how assaulting it is on the ears. But if you're a person that does not require that, you'll be happy about this. And like I said, it is very much in the style of blackened death metal with that technical death metal vibe to it. So there you go. That is all that I have. Really curious about what everybody has to think about this. I think Ulthar did a really, really good job. I'm really excited for people to hear this. And yeah, like I said, it's out Friday, February 17th. It's on CD, it's on vinyl, and it's on tape. $20 spin. Thanks, everybody, and I will see you in the next one.